You ever wonder, why is there so much suffering in the world? If there's a God who is supposed to be all good and all powerful, why do terrible things still happen? I mean, these are some of the oldest, heaviest questions humanity has ever grappled with. Today, we're going to dive into the minds of two thinkers who didn't just try to answer them. They came up with ideas that would literally go on to shape our entire world.
At the heart of it all is this one huge question. Philosophers call it the problem of evil, and it's the kind of thing that has kept people staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. for centuries. On the surface, it seems pretty simple, but trust me, the answer is anything but.
Okay, so here's the logical puzzle laid out for us. You've got these three core beliefs, and for a long time, philosophers have argued that you can believe any two of them, no problem, but you can't believe all three at the same time without running into a major contradiction. I mean, if God is all-powerful and all good, evil just shouldn't be a thing, right? And yet, here we are. So what gives?
All right, so to help us unpack this, let's bring in our first guide, Augustine of Hippo. He was a theologian way back in the late Roman Empire, and he didn't just try to solve this puzzle, he basically flipped the whole chessboard over.
You know, most of us, when we think of evil, we picture it as a thing, some kind of dark force, a created substance, something with its own existence. Augustine came along and said, nope, you're all looking at this completely backward. He argued that evil isn't a substance at all. It's what he called a privation. It's just a fancy word for an absence, a lack of good.
And this is just a brilliant way to get your head around it. Think about it. You can't make darkness, right? You just take away the light that's already there. You can't create cold. You just remove heat. For Augustine, evil works exactly the same way. It isn't the presence of something bad, but the absence of the good that's supposed to be there.
And this is absolutely crucial because, you see, it solves a huge piece of that original puzzle. In Augustine's world, God didn't create evil because evil isn't a thing that can be created. God only makes good stuff. Evil only shows up when something good gets twisted or corrupted, when it's turned away from what it was meant to be.
Okay, so that's the obvious next question, right? If God isn't the one to blame, then who or what is? Where does this absence of good actually come from?
Augustine's answer was pretty direct. It comes from us. He argued that the greatest gift God ever gave humanity was free will, the real, genuine ability to choose good. But here's the catch. A truly free choice has to include the option to not choose good. And that's where evil comes from us misusing that amazing gift, from us turning away from the good.
And for Augustine, this all goes back to that famous biblical story of the fall. You know how it goes. Adam and Eve are created good, they have total freedom to choose, but they choose to disobey. And according to Augustine, that one single act triggered a fundamental shift, a fall from humanity's original perfect state.
And he argued that all of us, we inherit this fallen nature. He called it original sin. Now, the point isn't to make you feel guilty for something that happened ages ago. The idea, for Augustine, is just to recognize that we're all born with this built-in tendency to misuse our free will, to turn away from the good. So Augustine gives us a diagnosis for the problem of evil, but that opens up a whole new can of worms, which brings us to our second brilliant thinker, Thomas Aquinas, who came along centuries later. He basically took Augustine's foundation and built something incredible on top of it. Yeah, I mean, think about it. If we're all born with this fallen nature, this tendency to mess up, how do we possibly stand a chance? How are we supposed to know what the right thing to do even is? Well, Aquinas had this really elegant answer. We come with a built-in guide. He called it natural law. He believed that even though we're flawed, God built an innate moral compass right into the human operating system. We don't need some special revelation to know basic right from wrong. We can figure it out just by using the power of our own reason. And you know what's wild? The entire foundation for this massive moral system is so simple. Aquinas said the core principle, the starting point that basically everyone can rationally agree on, is just this: do good and avoid evil. That's it. Everything else in morality for him flows from this one self-evident truth. And he placed this natural law into this grand cosmic structure. So at the very top, you have eternal law. That's God's master plan for the whole universe. Then you've got divine law, which is what's revealed in Scripture. Right in the middle is our focus, natural law, which is just us humans using our reason to participate in that eternal plan. And then at the bottom is human law, the specific rules we make for our societies, which ideally should always line up with the principles of natural law. Okay, so what are the true norths on this moral compass? What does it actually point us toward? Well, Aquinas identified these as the primary precepts. These are the fundamental human goods that our reason naturally tells us are worth pursuing. Things like preserving our own life, having families, seeking out the truth, and living together peacefully. They're just universal goals for human flourishing.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds like really old, dusty philosophy. But, and this is the incredible part, these two ideas, free will and natural law, are not just history. They literally became the blueprint for so much of our modern world.
Just think about it for a second. Augustine's whole emphasis on free will, on the power of individual choice, that's the DNA of our entire modern concept of personal responsibility. The idea that you are accountable for your actions, that's a direct line right back to Augustine.
In Aquinas, his idea that every single human being is born with an innate moral compass and a rational grasp of what's good, well, that's the philosophical seed that eventually blossomed into the whole idea of universal human rights. The belief that some truths and rights apply to everyone, everywhere, just because you're human. And you can literally trace this idea's journey through history. Back in the 13th century, you have Aquinas saying that any human law that violates natural law isn't real law at all. Fast forward 500 years, and you have Thomas Jefferson writing about unalienable rights given to us by a creator. And then, in our own time, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. directly quoted Aquinas to explain exactly why segregation laws were unjust and why people had a moral duty to break them. It's a powerful legacy.
And this is not just something for the history books. No, these ideas are alive and well, actively shaping our debates and guiding our laws right here, right now, today. Ever wonder why we believe in a right to self-defense? That comes straight from the primary precept to preserve life. So many of the intense legal and ethical debates around things like abortion hinge on principles of natural law. Even the idea that police should serve and protect is rooted in this goal of maintaining social order for the common good. These ancient ideas are providing the vocabulary for some of our most modern problems. So, it really all boils down to this one final crucial question. A question that echoes all the way back to Augustine and Aquinas. Is that sense of right and wrong something we're born with, an innate compass we just have to learn how to read? Or is it something we build from scratch, from our culture and our experiences? What you decide really says a whole lot about how you see the world.